Welcome to part 7 of the Watchman Stove Do-It-Yourself Kit. If you've made it this far, you have the patience of a saint. That's all I can say. Okay, so what we're going to do is there's a couple things that need to be assembled before we can attach them to the stove. And one of those things happen to be the leg sockets. So in your kit, you'll get 4 leg sockets. And you see here that I have them clamped to my little makeshift table. And there's the ground to my welder. So if you ever wonder, you have probably already picked up on the fact that it's getting continuity through the plate. So anything that's clamped to the table is getting a good ground. All right, so to protect the threads of the 4 adjustment bolts for the legs, and to protect the threads in the nuts that go into the leg sockets, what I like to do is run the screw all the way into the square nut and then just place it in the pre-drilled hole of the leg socket. And these are just resting in place. And then set your welder for 14 gauge because that's the thickness of the leg socket. You could even go up to 1/8 inch if you want. Set your machine for 1/8 inch. If you're familiar enough with your machine to know that it's not going to blow out something thin, like a thin metal, and just focus more heat to the hardware. And you want to be careful, of course, that you don't weld the bolt to the nut, because that's going to kind of defeat the purpose. All right, so also another thing you can do is you can weld the spring handles onto the handle shaft, if you want to call it that. You get 2 1/2 inch OD handles. One's mild steel, and that goes for that attaches to your ash door. The stainless 1/2 inch OD round bar, that goes to your cooktop. Both handles are mild steel, the spring portion anyway. You get 2 of those. They just push in place, but I like to do a little, a rosette weld, if you want to call it that, where you just, fill in the end like a circle. And then wherever the end of the spring is, I normally put like a little weld right there too. So, all right, so there's a couple things that can be done that'll help speed up the process of the next couple steps. All right, more in a bit. Okay, the square nuts have been welded to the leg sockets. And you can see that everything still operates as it should. We have the spring handles welded to the handle shaft. And when I do that, I always add a little extra weld. It's actually still a little bit warm. I add a little extra weld so I can hit that with a flap wheel and dress it up. So I'd rather have it right now with a little bit of high spot so I can grind it smooth versus a bunch of low spots where I need to go back and add more. But that's just really getting probably more perfect than it needs to be. But as it stands, I've only hit it with stainless brush after welding it. This one here is the mild steel for the ash slide. It's still a little warm too. But again, I filled the end with weld. Now I do know that they make like hammer-on caps, but hey, what's the fun in that? This is a welding kit, right? Okay. So this mild steel handle will attach to the ash door. So at this point, this is the same dimension both directions. Top, bottom, doesn't matter. So what I normally do is I find the center line, and then since this is 1/2 inch OD, you can come over a quarter inch from like your center line mark. Use a square, give yourself a nice line, and figure out where you want to lay that out. I mean, it doesn't have to be all the way back. It can really be like this if you want it to be. The only purpose is just to slide it back and forth and be able to dump your ash once this is fully assembled. All right, let me lay that out and I'll show you what it looks like. So here the stove is turned upside down. So this is the underneath side of the potato plate. This is still the front of the stove as you would be feeding wood into it. The ash door bracket is just resting in place right now. It's not welded. I'm just doing this for demonstration. But really the handle that we just prefabbed, it'll just weld here in the center. And you can even make it come out however far you want. Something like that's even pretty good. But basically, it just allows you to slide it back and forth. And the nice thing is, if you have the handle already installed on the ash door, it makes it easier to lay out where this bracket needs to go. But it's, you know, it's pretty easy. There you go. So yeah, so this just goes on here. You just want to make sure you're not having any interference issues. And this is just at a weird angle just because it's not welded on there yet. Okay. That's it for this installment. I'll do more in a bit. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.